Hi everyone, this is Lori with 3 Keys Astrology, and this is your weekly astrology forecast. Excuse me, please, March 16th through 22nd. Now, I'm still only making audio because I'm still almost at the end of this horrible lung infection of walking pneumonia that I've had since early February. And for everybody listening to this, please be extra precautionary with being in crowds. There's lots of viruses in the air, lots of virulent contagions, and that's because we have Pluto in Aquarius and Jupiter at 13 degrees in Gemini. Gemini rules the lungs, and Aquarius is things that are airborne. Pluto there is toxic. Pluto is the ruler of death and destruction. And so please be very, very careful. This was no fun. My husband and I spent most of February in bed, coughing and being infected, and it felt like our lungs were burning. So be very careful. Now, as we proceed through the week, I do want you to keep in mind that at any time when we are between eclipses, and we've got another solar eclipse coming at 9 degrees of Aries at the end of the month. I'll be doing a video on that to explain more. That eclipse is going to happen in Aries. The eclipse we just had was a 23-degree eclipse in Virgo with Mercury retrograde, the lord of that. So, and this axis happened to be one of mental and physical health, the Virgo eclipse. The moon being eclipsed means illness, sickness, disillusionment. And I have created for you several videos. If you're new to the channel or you're just getting interested in astrology, I did a new moon in Pisces video. Why is that apropos to these eclipses? Because we had 6 and 7 planets through the end of February and into March up until that eclipse, and still do. So the new moon in Pisces is going to be very informative because Pisces' shadow side is Virgo. Virgo's shadow side is Pisces. We're going to talk a little bit more about that during this weekly forecast. Please go to my website, www.3keysastrology.com, to order all of my work and to see my weekly forecast blogs. Now then, there's a membership that you can sign up for if you're interested. You can log in, and at the current moment, I'm not charging any fees for any memberships. The other 2 videos, if you're new to astrology, learning astrology, or new to my channel, thank you for subscribing and welcome. The other 2 videos that are apropos for this forecast through the end of this month and through the next 6 months for lunar eclipses and solar eclipse energy last 6 months long. The other 2 videos I created for you are secrets of lunar eclipses. I should say audio I created. And the other one is the weekly forecast and lunar eclipse forecast for last week, which has a lot of details about Virgo and Pisces in its axis. So we have quite the week ahead of us. And one of the things I want you to always keep in mind, because we're between 2 eclipses this month, Pisces and Virgo, wherever these signs are in your chart, because it's 1/12 of your personality. That wheel is 360 degrees, and each horoscope zodiac is 30 degrees. So it's more important when your sun, moon, and rising sign are in these signs, but every person on the planet has a section of these 12 parts of self. The Pisces Virgo people with their sun, moon, or rising sign, which are your 3 keys, will be mostly affected. Coming up to the solar eclipse at the end of this month at 9 degrees Aries, most affected will be Aries and Libra, for they are each other's shadow side. Next in line will be the Capricorn and Cancers. But we all have Aries in our chart. We all have Scorpio in our chart. We all have Pisces in our chart. Even if you have an astrology chart where there are no planets tenated, there's still a lot of information that an astrologer can talk to you about your life and your current life. Once you get a birth chart reading and become one of my clients, you can consult with me about anything. I have a lot of repeated business, and the most interesting readings in your current place and time are my here and now readings, because we evolve and we de-evolve, and we have challenges and we slip back, and we're positive and upright and filled with light, and then we do things that are wrong because we're human. And life is survival and full of challenge on the planet Earth, so that we can evolve our souls and reconnect to our birthright and God-given talents, benefits, and favors. So keep that in mind. We're between eclipses. That's darkness. And with Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, which will be for the month, the last day of the month, Venus stations direct. However, it is a time whenever any planet, when you're born with planets in retrograde, that means you didn't accomplish what you needed to accomplish should you have lived a past lifetime. And that in this lifetime, there needs to be remedy. But all rewords: revitalize, reconsider, realize, reschedule, redo, rethink, recover, reconstitute, renourish, repeat. All of this is about getting retrospective about the issues of Mercury communication, how well you do that, how well you cooperate, and then Venus. What do I value? Who do I love? Am I valued in return, or am I living unrequited, malnourished, and neglected relationships? So these are the things that matter. Health first, and then our communication and our values as we're between this darkness and this light. Coming this week ahead, we've got St. Patrick's Day. And and we also have my favorite day of the week. This week is Wednesday. And this is the astrological new year. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. The other thing that happens is this week on Friday or Thursday, depending on where you live in the world, the sun ingresses into Aries. So we're celebrating our Pisces friends and families' birthdays this week. And then starting the weekend, happy birthday to you, Aries. Now our energy on the planet has been quite imbalanced since February. And this day in particular, when I'm creating this video, is the Ides of March. This is the day that Julius Caesar was killed in ancient history. And on the Ides of March, this day in particular, I featured and talked about in detail in your weekly forecast last week, because my forecasts go from Sunday to the following Saturday. And I think I said that backwards again at the beginning, so I'm sorry. But this day in particular, the 15th, this imbalance of energies continues because most of the planetary energy is moving from Pisces into Aries. And just like we've seen an arc of the stars in the sky, our planetary arcs that have been pretty prevalent since the end of January, we've had a lot of cloud and fogginess and rain and flooding because Neptune is anaretic, and Saturn's winds have been roaring against that Neptune anaretic in the Pisces realm, where we had the Sun, Saturn, Neptune, Venus, the North Node, and Mercury formerly. So all that energy is gradually moving from the water energy, the emotional energy, the realm of the world we can't see, our belief systems, our faith that we carry, are all moving into the very realistic sign of Aries. And that's our progression every year, though our planetary energy is not the same every year. But this year, in 2025, we've got this concentrated energy so that the hemispheres of the circle of our world are at an imbalance. And we've got some things that each of us individually needs to ponder on, consider, and recreate, remedy, redo, revitalize, reconstitute, regift, because it's a great time to purge every spring. And at this time, and particularly today, the Ides of March, there's some really beautiful energy in the sky, but we've got a big opposition to the moon in Libra. Last week I explained when I was making our weekly forecasts that Libra would have a difficult time this time of the year, and the air signs in particular are going through some significant changes. Libra, you have to ask yourself, your shadow side is selfishness. Your shadow side is the lone wolf. Your shadow side, Libra, while you're born very sweet, is to be indolent, and that repugnant and self-involved person who is unable to hear or consider anyone else. You see, Libra is the great sign of balance, able easily to see both sides of issues, as are Geminis and Aquarians. And we've got Uranus right now helping us and comforting us and giving us a new way to do things, insight into how to remedy situations, and the ability to do things better. But Libra, you really need to look into your shadow side. I've got a video, I offer a reading on my website, www.3keysastrology.com, that discusses Black Moon Lilith. And that energy is evil. She's a she-devil, and she's a selfish entity who takes from other people, steals their peace. In Libra, steals family members, breaks down marriages, steals children, does anything she can to cause chaos and disruption in marriages. At the other end of the spectrum, from Black Moon Lilith, we have Eris, the goddess of chaos, in Aries, and Chiron, the wounded healer there. So Libras really have to get, you can come and ask me for that reading, and that is not a reading for the shy. That's taking a look at the not very nice parts of ourselves. But we all have to do that right now because of this great imbalance in our world, in our personal lives, because the horoscope is microscopic and macroscopic. The outer world events show an imbalance when two sides won't come together in cooperation. And interpersonally, between eclipses, people are more apt to show their dark sides, their shadow sides, and not to be cooperative. So that's something we have to keep in mind throughout the entire week. Now, the North Node this week stations direct in Pisces on Saturday. And again, I encourage you, especially Pisces, go look at that new moon video in Pisces, because that lasts for you. You get that new moon once a year, and then you get your full moon once a year. The culmination of what your path is and your fated destiny is for the year is spoken in the nodes of the moon. So you can have a look at those, and then do get into and dig deep in and get into some retrospection and self-inspection, and consider your most important relationships. That pertains to all of us over the week. Now, the other thing that's quite important is that we have no earth energy. The energy is predominantly water and fire. And then we've got two planets that are in air. And unfortunately, like I said, Jupiter is a benefic planet. It's a blessing planet. But when it's in orb to Pluto, it exaggerates the Plutonian energy. Well, Pluto rules Scorpio, and all eclipses are scorpionic, which I describe in the secrets of eclipses that are on that video. The other thing you might want to do is go look, because I've got a video about 12th house secrets. That's of essential dignity, the Pisces house in the horoscope. That's where we're secretive. That's where we can be deceptive, because Pisces are two little fish swimming in opposite directions. And people who have a lot of planets in Pisces can go one way or the other, swimming upstream or downstream, swimming toward the light or drowning in darkness. So that's a really good video too if you're interested in introspection. Being between two eclipses this month, we still have to be quite mindful of our health. As I said, we'll have a solar eclipse at the end of the month at 9 degrees Aries. And it will hit mostly Aries, Libra, Cancer's in Capricorn. Cancer, we've been going through a lot of emotional upheaval and frustration since last fall because Mars is in Cancer. Thank goodness it's going direct, but we still have to take a good look at how do we handle aggression? How do we handle our anger, Cancer? And you too, Capricorn. We've got to examine ourselves as we go through this Lenten period and this time of re-evaluation, Mercury and Venus. If you are fortunate enough to play the stock market and have investments, you can see the stock market took a little tumble. If you had an astrologer, and I know a couple of really good financial astrologers, should you be interested, you can email me at Ducky@3keysastrology. Anytime Mercury's in retrograde or Venus isn't debilitated, we do not play games with our finances. It's a good time to buy because the market taking a dip means the value of the stocks lessen. So if you're in the market to buy, it's a good time to do that, but it's not a good time for you to gamble or play risk with investment. And Mercury retrograde can mean we really have to check and revise and recheck our mechanical transportation, whether it's trucks, cars, motorcycles, however it is that you get to work. Mechanical failures happen often during Mercury retrogrades. During Mercury retrogrades, which rules electronics, we do not buy new phones or cameras or digital stuff. We don't buy any electronics during Mercury retrograde because you'll inevitably have to return. That's another word, return. So go through your home, purge things out, re-gift things, repurpose things, and release things, most of all. If you can't use it anymore, someone else can. Return things that you're not using. Really clear out. That helps you get lighter in the gravity in the body and the weight that you're putting on the earth and in your home. And also revitalize your diet. Because what you put in your mouth goes into your belly, and that affects the way you think and feel. And Venus is about beauty, so we don't do beauty treatments during Venus retrograde either. You can do things like facials and massage, but you don't do cosmetic surgeries because things won't turn out the way you hope they will. Now, this week, Venus and Saturn go from being evening stars to morning stars. So that means those of us that are stargazers that have telescopes will see Venus and Saturn in the morning sky. This Thursday is our astrology new year, the spring equinox, when there's an equal measure between light and darkness. Again, re-emphasizing the balance of seeing where you are on the spectrum. Are your days filled with love and light? Or are you drunk, drugging, not getting out of bed, staying in darkness? What's going on with you? And please comment below, I care. And if you're struggling, by all means, come and get a reading. The other nice thing you can do for yourself is get yourself to church. We Catholics are practicing our 40 days and 40 nights of deliberate devotion and prayers. We fast, which is a way we lighten our bodies to build the strength of our spiritual minds. So that's happening this week. This week, until the end of the month, when Black Moon Lilith moves into Scorpio, she's at the end degrees of Libra, which is causing a lot of havoc for Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, and Aries in the area of relationships. Black Moon Lilith does not mean well. So in your measure this week of this imbalanced energy, of all of our planetary energy leaving Pisces and heading into Aries, but for Uranus, which is in Taurus, Jupiter, which is in Gemini, Mars, which is in Cancer, Pluto, which is in Aquarius. And this, if you come and learn astrology with me because I teach it, is what is called a bowl. And that energy from Pluto to Mars is the complex of the warring that was going on from November through until Mars moved out of the way when it stationed direct, that was in a straight line in direct contact to Pluto. Nevertheless, this energy of our stars in the sky are being held together by Pluto and Mars. And when I teach you astrology, I'll teach you that we look at the slower moving planet to see how things will begin, and then we look at we start with the fastest moving planet because all the energy begins there, and then we'll go to Pluto. In this case, it begins with Mars in Cancer, where it's debilitated. It's in its fall. It doesn't belong there. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, but it's in its fall in Cancer. So this is a weak Mars, a Mars that sabotages, that backstabs, and that is not in good harmony. And with all this energy going through every single planet on the Earth, except for the Moon, we go from Mars to Pluto. What does that mean? Pluto in Aquarius is the detriment of something deadly and toxic in the air. Where Pluto is, something will die. And we don't have a choice. It's fated. We cannot control the power of Pluto. It's wicked. It's heavy and it's dark. The only way that we can control the power of Pluto is to accept change and to see where it is in our part that we're being Plutonian or Scorpionic or devilish or deadly or imbibing in sin. We cure that by transforming, by inviting more light into our life, by being more honest and being more forthright in our actions. So the energy begins with Mars in Cancer, and that means when you're doing this self-examining and measuring of what's light and what's dark, you're going to need to look at your personal circle. Well, who's in your personal circle? And you're at your work environment. Who are those people that you have to interact with 40 plus hours a week? And then who do you live with in your home? Who's immediately in your circle, in your neighborhood? What friends have you chosen? And you need to take measure during this time between eclipses. What friends lift you up? What friends pull you down? What friends can you confide in? What friends blab all your secrets to everyone? What friends talk about you behind your back? What friends do you need to release and let go? And it's the same with family. And while I'm pro-family and pro-life and all about it, I'm 63 years old, a mother and a grandmother who has lived through a lot of life experience. And as a consultant astrologer, it pains me deeply when someone is chained to someone who's a sinner, who's evil, who keeps on causing more emotional pain. Sometimes, sadly, that's our adult children. Sometimes, sadly, that's our in-laws. Sometimes, sadly, that's our own parents. And during this time, when we're between this light and darkness, and more light is coming on the earth, we really need to see who's healthy for us. And ending in Pluto, getting rid of the toxins, toxic people, toxic relationships, clutter in our homes, and any poison that's contaminating our minds. Is it the nightly news? Don't watch it. Know your part and your place in the world, and know what you can control and what you can't control, because those are very Mars-Pluto issues. Now, the spring equinox Thursday, I'll get to. And I think the other thing I'd like to tell you is we have some prayers for protection in the church. We Catholics lean on Saint Michael, who's an archangel, and he's the angel that is the patron saint for police officers and people who fight crime and people who have to work at night in the dark to keep us safe and sound. He's a beautiful protector angel, and we've got a beautiful Catholic prayer that we can go in our invocations to saints and angels and family members passed on to help us. Now, I promised at the beginning of this video that I was going to talk to you a little bit about the shadow side. So the videos, and you're welcome to go see them on our YouTube channel where this is being created. I also put these on X and in my private Facebook group. So please become a member. So what I've been doing, because this energy is so prevalent, since last November, I started with 2 videos on Pluto. So if you're new to the channel or new to astrology, do go see the 2 videos, part 1 and part 2. Pluto plows into Aquarius, because Pluto's the ruler of the underworld. It rules Scorpio. It's the ancient ruler of Aries, or some kind of hierarchical planetary energy in fiery Aries. Pluto, when it's exalted and invites and gives us complete transformation. But because it's a fated and it rules the Department of Death and Destruction and complete annihilation, we cannot control this powerful energy. It is the opposite energy of the light that is the sun, holiness, vitality. So it's a death planet. Something will die and something will end. For everyone in Aquarius, for that planet stays till 2043. That's 30 years. And on average, that's about the time Pluto spends in signs. Formerly, we were in 2008 when Pluto went into Capricorn, and we saw the destruction and death of banking and corporate structures and people in power that were corrupt. So as we go through this, what I promise to tell you is the videos that I've been making since November 20th, when I did a live Facebook feed that I think you can still find if you scroll through the feed in 3 Keys Astrology, our private Facebook group. I started with the Plutos, then I talked about the 12th house, then I talked about eclipses, and I've talked a lot about Black Moon Lilith. And there are other videos on my channel that explain why she's a hellish nature like Pluto. And I also have recently done those videos on Pisces because it's 12th house energy. The next layer of depth that I want you to consider when you're talking about shadows is this indeed fact. So every sign that is your opposite is your shadow side. This is nothing new. I've mentioned it before. What does it mean when we face our shadow, and what exactly happens psychologically? Well, I'll tell you. If you're Leo, your shadow side is Aquarius. And we're talking about the measures of the energy between the holy sun, that's the bright, happy Leo that is the best, the most fun, the most warm and invigorating energy. Nobody else has it, but Leo does. And it's a sign of, it's the star that is the sun is leadership. But the opposite sign, and that would be Leo shadow, is cold Aquarius, ruled by Saturn, death. So Leo will cut you off, or Leo that's upset turns into that Saturnian cold, distant, unable to touch that freezes us out. If you're Cancer rising, your shadow side is Capricorn. Now, what does this mean essentially psychologically? Our shadow sides are the mirroring image. When you hear the psychological term projection, that would be indeed you holding a mirror, and often without the help of a psychologist or an astrologer or some kind of spiritual experience, maybe a priest or a nun. Without their help, we often spend, especially through the age 28 to 32, unaware of our shadows. We're experiencing our life, we're going out into life, and we're making our lives, and we're often unaware of this shadow side. And yet, what happens is this psychological phenomenon called projection. So projection is shooting something out to someone else. We're actually putting our shadow on other people. And like a mirror image bouncing back at us comes our shadow. So for Leo, they'll meet a lot of Aquarian. They'll long for and desire to be adored, be respected, be acknowledged. And instead, they'll invite through projection, all of their own doing in subconscious ways, invite people around that'll come into their orbit or end up being their workmates or their lovers who are cold, detached, unavailable, neglectful, that are freezing Leo out. For Cancer and Capricorn, Cancer is ruled by the moon, so that's very emotional. But our shadow side is Capricorn, again ruled by Saturn. And what does that mean? When we're in our glory and living the light of the full moon, Cancer's rising are nurturant, loving, warm, motherly, caring. They will give you anything. They'll keep you warm. They'll make you feel good. This is an amazing sign of caregiving. But our shadow side is cold, Saturnian Capricorn. Both Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Aquarius, the ancient ruler, is Saturn. Saturn's an authority figure. He's not interested in your feelings. He's not going to nurture you. He's a hierarchical energy that cares about rules, regulations, restrictions. And again, Saturn is a death planet. So cut you off, shut you off. A lot of Cancer risings have trouble with authority. Why? It's our shadow side. So what happens to us in this naivety of that first Saturn return age from birth until 28 or 32? Well, when we're unbalanced, when we're not cared for, when we're not nourished, we become Saturnian. What is that? Authoritative, dictatorial, expecting, restricting, play by the rules or you don't play with me. And that's what happens. We get back our shadow, meaning that we Cancer risings meet people or marry people or work with people or are in structures that are very restrictive and very regulated and very disciplined. And that's just the balance that God created with us in our birthrights. So we don't see that that's a part of us. We're not even consciously aware that we've got these shadow sides. We project them onto other people and then bounce right back. We end up getting that thrown back in our mirrored faces. That's projection. If you're Cancer rising, your shadow side Sagittarius. If you're Taurus rising, your shadow side is Scorpio. If you're Aries rising, your shadow side is Libra. If you're Pisces rising, your shadow side is Virgo. And I explained in depth in those eclipse videos, the secrets of eclipses, the 12th house energy, just exactly how Pisces is sweet and lovable. They're my favorite sign. Warm, compassionate, empathetic, often very spiritual and very connected to the other worlds, have great telepathy and mediumship, are very sensual, but their shadow side is nitpicky Virgo. And when I'm talking shadow, I'm not talking about the best qualities, because each sign has beautiful redeeming qualities, and each sign has negative qualities. So if you're Aquarius rising, your shadow side is Leo. If you're Capricorn rising, your shadow side is Cancer. If you're Sagittarius rising, your shadow side is Gemini. If you're Scorpio rising, your shadow side is Taurus. If you're Libra rising, your shadow is Aries, and I've just spoken on that. If you're Virgo rising, your shadow is Pisces, and that's the wheel. So before I go day to day through this, I'd like to talk to you about blessings. When I told you we've got a prayer for St. Michael you can look up on your own in your contemplation and prayers and devotions for the week. If you are Scotch-Irish, and I am, we are a lot of us that are Scottish and Irish that are also Catholic, that love the religion, and the patron saint of Ireland is St. Patrick, and he's got a breastplate prayer that's amazing. St. Patrick wrote that, and it's of divine protection, equal to what the Archangel St. Michael offers of protection. That he wrote that prayer in 433 AD. So go seek those two prayers, St. Michael and St. Patrick. If you've got grandchildren or children or spouses or loved ones or in-laws or parents that are in dire health or in dire relationships, pray those two prayers over your family members. Because they're indeed protection, and saints are real people who walk the earth, and it's good to study saints. The study is called hagiography. Study those saints during these 40 days and 40 nights where Easter is the culmination point, the resurrection, the epitome of the light that can come into your soul while you Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, and clean out your Pluto issues and Scorpio issues and shadow issues. This divine protection is being brought to you this week because we still have a lot of Moon Pluto worry in the crowd mentality or herd mentality. People taking to the streets. Don't do it. Be smarter. There's better ways to resolve things than marching around and screaming. Number one, there's a lot of infection and it's deadly. And we can't afford walking pneumonias, RSVs, and the viruses that are spinning off that are all hitting the respiratory tract. That's why I put these prayers out there for you. And now I'm going to give you this beautiful little Irish blessing because I have a Scotch-Irish grandma, and then I had 3 Italian grandparents. So my heart and soul are Irish, Scottish, and Italian. This Irish blessing says, may your pockets be heavy and your heart be light. May good luck pursue you by day and by night. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May rains fall softly upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Amen. The week ahead, my favorite day of the week is Wednesday. And I want you to know that if you are looking for a fluffy, light, happy-go-lucky, I'm going to get rich, I'm going to marry a millionaire, that's not what astrology is. Astrology is about real life, real challenges, and it's a soul science. The week ahead is not easy. Why? Because we're between eclipses. But I gave you all the information you need to begin to remedy communications and your love life, for Venus rules your love life, to what's valuable to me, who's valuable to me, who do I love. So today we're going to start with Sunday, and that is the 16th of March. And I would say if you go to church, go to Mass, I would absolutely spend a rather quiet Sunday. To keep the Sabbath holy means that we're not running around like fools. We're taking a rest and reprieve, 2 words from the world. And we're only with family that's the most significant and the most important. But I would definitely pull back and be quiet. This might be a really nice day for you to measure the light and darkness of your immediate circles and also of yourself, and do some soul searching. To recreate a new, revitalized, renourished you who can transform hardships and can release past transgressions and can release the people that continue to cause you upset. So it's a tough day overall for relating, and mostly for Libra still. I then again would say for the Geminis and Aquarians, I would say don't let spoils spill into the night, because this can carry overnight. We've got a couple of energies this week between Sunday night and Monday that are difficult, and then possibly Friday night into Saturday. And again, the reason I did those prayers for protection are because those of you that are military or police officers or night workers or do security, the overnights this week between eclipses are dangerous, and you need the power and prayers of protection, and you need to be extra vigilant and on guard. So spend Sunday in the service and devotion of your Lenten, and to get right with Jesus and get right with your family and friends where you can, and to release where you can't, and set boundaries, because Pisces going into Aries is good for that. Pisces has, it's very difficult for Pisceans and the water signs in general, except for Scorpio, I would say, to set boundaries, because they're loving and they're caring and they always want to help. Now Monday is, let me get this. Well, I guess I could tell you why Sunday is so difficult. So we have the moon in Libra. The moon is in Libra all day long Sunday. This is why this is emotional. This is tough. That's why you're going through things. And it's, for you, Libra, has to be about the balance. Libras, unfortunately, often get involved with people that are selfish. I've done over 10,000 readings, and I do really nice couples readings to help you better get along with your partners, and compatibility readings in case you're wondering, should I marry this person? Or, why are things going like they are now? Astrology has the answers. And a lot of Libras that are very sweet and loving by their God-given nature, often by their shadow sides, marry and meet and fall in love with or work for Arian types that are quite selfish. And they get the short end of the stick. They're with people that are self-involved and not sharing and not caring and not being loving. So on Sunday, we have a square between the moon in Libra and Mars in Cancer. That's going to be difficult for Cancers and Libras in the realm of power struggles. Libra's also in pain because Chiron and Eris are in Aries right now, and there's an inconjunction to Saturn. So it could be it's suffering over death. It's being in deep grief. It's suffering the loss or the wasting away, and the sad things that we have to see when our loved ones get quite ages and are weakened. That's Saturn affecting and weakening the bones and getting the body ready for the great transformation when we leave our bodies and go back to, that's up to you, what you believe in. My Catholic faith says we're reunited with God and our loved ones. On Sunday also, we've got Libra not getting along with almost the whole zodiac. And in some kind of Libras can be having some kind of major disruption in their homes. It could be to the degree of domestic violence because we have the moon with Uranus in corruption. And that can be some unexpected situation that happens out of the blue. Unfortunately, because we always have wicked weather during eclipses, over 100,000 people are going to be without power and in danger. And there have been warnings, and I've talked to you about flooding and fires because of the water and the fire energy that's so prevalent on the planet right now. Wildfires, flooding, tornadoes, catastrophic winds, cyclones, danger out in the West Coast, in the Pacific Northwest and Midwest, lots of snowfall and blizzard conditions. We're between eclipses, so the unexpected and fated points in life when things are beyond our control are occurring, and we have to be mindful about that. Also on Sunday, the sun and moon aren't getting along, and so that's parents and married couples, authority to subordinates. So that's discord, and that's one not seeing the other's point of view. That's not walking in cooperation. And then lastly, we've got the moon in Libra that's contesting Neptune at an anaretic degree in Pisces. And now the moon regulates the tides on the earth. This is why we're going to have wet, rainy, cold flooding, and a lot of fog. We're not going to be able to see clearly. And on a personal level, that's emotionally. So Libras and Pisces that are in familial relationships, fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, mothers and fathers, anybody, Libra and Pisces just are not jiving, and Libra's having a lot of problems. So if you have a stellium in Libra, which means a cluster of planets in that sign, sun, moon, or rising in Libra, I'm talking about you, and you're going through it. And I'm happy to talk to you and break it down for your personal astrology chart, which is as individual as a fingerprint. No one's got a chart like you, not even identical twins. So I recommend silence, other than what you say in your prayers, if you go to Mass. Otherwise, I would have a nice time out, self-reflection day, and a day for self-care. On Monday, St. Patrick's Day, Black Moon Lilith is the one having the parade. Make no mistake. It's not just the Irish, but it's the drunk Irish. And if somebody's proven repeated deceit to you, I would have an exit strategy. Because you see, these types of people enjoy instigating and antagonizing others. Those people are addicts. Those people are ne'er-do-wells who are always relying on the family pocketbook, always cause chaos and disturbances at family affairs. This is quite significant because of the moon and Mars. And now they're finally in harmony. While they're not in harmony on Sunday, they are in harmony on Monday. So Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces, this is a great time to quietly plan your exit strategies. And if you've done it and it's the day, this is a good day to move the heck out and away from gossips, liars, cheaters, alcoholics, drug addicts, ne'er-do-wells, people relying on the system who always have complaint, the martyrs in our lives, that it's always everyone's fault, the victims. Guys, that energy is so heavy. And if you're the one writing checks, and you're the one making excuses, and you're the one allowing betrayal in your marriages and living with alcoholics, or putting up with your drug addict adult children and caring for their children and paying their bills, you're what we call an enabler. And that never helps anybody get better. So watch out for Monday, St. Patrick's Day. And because Black Moon Lilith is thick in it, I don't love that day. This is a day that's dangerous, so I would stay away from those parades. And I wouldn't be in the street hollering for whatever you think your cause is, because in that great imbalance, you've got a blind side. It's like marching and screaming in the street with one eye and one ear. You're not at all hearing the other eye and the other ear. And you're splitting your mind, and you're splitting your community, and you're splitting society, and you're splitting up. And that does nothing for cooperation and growth. So I don't like Monday. And I don't like alcoholics, drug addicts, and weak, needy people who blame everybody else for all their problems. And I never will. And I'm sure most of you that listen to me agree. Tuesday, I would say take action. Oh, again, back on Monday. So if you've been listening to me and I spoke to specific signs, or if you've come to get readings from me and I've told you, wait, don't make your move yet, you can move now. So pull that truck up, load that stuff up, and get them out or get yourself out. Again, on Tuesday, the same thing prevails. It's a great day to take action. Scorpio, this is an excellent day for the crime fighters, as is overnight Monday night. That blessing is the divine protection of St. Patrick's breastplate and Archangel Michael's prayer for protection. And, you know, he's a warrior. Archangel Michael's a fighter. And so are policemen, so are our military. And we do have to fight these dark forces that run free and have their parades during eclipse season and in the darkness. So again, liars, gossips, people who are always putting you down, people who don't lift your energy up. And if you need to, quietly stand around these people. They don't need to know that you're doing a litmus test, and see whether your heart feels lighter, brighter, happier, or are they pulling you down by their habits and their deceptions. And if the answer is they're pulling you down, it's time for you to make a plan to make a move. Or you're going to be as sick as they are. You're going to be as intoxicated as they are, one way or the other, by all the things you have to clean up in their intoxicated messes. Energy travels, friends, and energy is contagious, friends. And so I know what it's like to get swept up in anger. I've experienced with Mars-Saturn transits like I've never experienced in my life in the last few years. Those of you that are born with that, wow, is that a hard challenge? And yet, if you're involved in that energy during this introspection, you have to ask yourself, why? Why am I allowing myself to be in this energy? Why am I in this atmosphere? And what is it that my soul's supposed to learn about overcoming this and getting away from this and protecting myself? So Tuesday, take action. All the water signs, great for fire signs, because they're also, we got a lot of firefighters with this energy. We've got a lot of planets in Aries. We've got the moon in a trine to Saturn, which is excellent for hard work. So I do like Tuesday, and I do like Wednesday the best. Pisces can really be feeling tired and drained on Tuesday and Wednesday because the sun is leaving their sign and moving into Aries. So Pisces need to take extra rest and take extra nutrition and take extra care of themselves. And for the week, I say the people that you really need to avoid are Virgos, Libras, and Sagittarians, Pisces. There's a lot of conflict with you in those signs, whether they're family members, work partners, or what the situation is. But I've done a lot of work for you, Pisces, so go look at the channel. This day, Tuesday, is excellent for Scorpio and Cancer, who can be really productive and wear the coat or the breastplate of St. Michael and wear the coat and armor of Saint Michael. So for the rest of us that aren't crime workers or aren't involved in protecting populations, the majority of the message for this week is spring clean yourself of ne'er-do-wells. Spring clean yourself from those people and your private circle that are doing nothing but destroying the atmosphere and energy of your wealth and health, wealth, and well-being. Now, my favorite day is Wednesday, and this day is really sweet because this day offers a lot. I'd like you to comment below and tell me where your Venus is in your chart, and I'd like you to tell me where your Neptune is in your chart. And then I'd like you to tell me, how did God make you creative? And go into as much depth as you want, but I'd really like you to comment below about this video because I'm going to do a little bit of extra things for we that are creatives. So today, oh my gosh, if you get a day to decide which day you're going to take off, take Wednesday off and play. This is excellent for artists, musicians, photographers, creators, no matter what, whether you're a baker or a potter or a weaver or whatever it is that your art is. This is such a sweet, sweet day, and this is the day that you can really connect to your creative soul. For all people listening, I really love this day. Why? Because now our moon has moved into Scorpio. Now, if you do have to work that day and you have a profession that fights criminality, whether you're a professor in criminal science and you teach it, whether you're in a lab somewhere looking at evidence, whether you're out in the field collecting the evidence, this day is excellent. Crimes can be solved, cold cases can be solved, solutions and answers in legal, where legal strife has been, the light that's on the planet is going to be brighter than the foreshadowing or the secrets or hidden evidence or something that was missed in trying to solve crime. So that's great for those that are working in the field, any scorpionic field, including those of you that work in the psychological professions. If you're working one-on-one with clients, you can have some really great breakthroughs through the rest of this month because of Uranus and Taurus. And this week, Scorpio stays Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday. So that's really, really nice energy. The rest of us, we've got the sun in Pisces almost at its end in harmony to Neptune. So this is excellent for stargazing, for physicists, for astrologers, for the clergy. Excellent for you to have the best confession you've ever given because you're supposed to be doing reconciliation right now. It's excellent for clergy to have breakthroughs with parishioners. Excellent for psychologists and psychiatrists to have breakthroughs with their clients. Excellent for psychological breakthroughs, understandings, and for taking your blame where it's due, for seeing your shadow, for bringing your shadow to light. And my Black Moon Lilith readings help you do that. You can come to me for consulting. My practice is primarily about relationships and psychology. The next beautiful thing is that the moon is in harmony to Pluto. So if you have to be in a crowd, this would be the best day to do it. And the moon is in harmony to Venus. So this is great for girls to get together, mothers and daughters, mothers-in-laws and daughters-in-law, to make each other feel good, for besties to make each other feel better, for emotional healing and well-being, despite the negative dark energy that's between our eclipses. Now we're going to go to Thursday, and this is the day. It can happen on Sunday or Thursday or Friday, but Thursday is our astrological new year. This is the day of equal light and darkness, the spring equinox. And I say have a New Year's party. Go order readings from all your astrologers. Go comment on their videos. We take a lot of time and analysis to make these free places for you to come explore and learn. And so that's what I recommend for you to do. Support your astrologers on this spring equinox. And then the next thing I recommend for you to do is to get outside in nature. Because we have no earth energy this week except for Uranus and Taurus, which will instigate earthquakes. The earth will be shaking, the tectonic plates under the ocean floors will be moving, but we individually, because we've got a predominance of destructive air energy with Pluto and Jupiter and Uranus, which is Uranus rules modern day Aquarius. Like I said, the airborne ills, protecting your lungs, RSV, walking pneumonia. Because we have so much air energy and zero earth energy, we do need to be in our gardens. Start pruning, because the plants need to be pruned this time of the year. Cut things back, get rid of the weeds, rake. Get your feet on the ground somehow, some way. Go get a sauna, go get a massage. Do some kind of grounding therapy. How can I do that, Lori? I have to work all week. Well, I'll tell you. You can have soups that have root vegetables in them. Eat baked potatoes. Eat beets. Those are grounding energies that calm the nervous system because they're loaded with magnesium. You can take magnesium supplements this week. I think you should always, because we live in a very frenetic world that's saturated with radioactive energy through all of our electronic use and 5G, which is detrimental to our mental health. So that's another thing you can do. After you watch my videos, ditch your electronics. So that's a good way to ground, because the more we're attached to our electronics, the more we look at those screens, the more we carry them on our bodies, the more we're inundated with radioactive energy. So that's your Thursday. And Thursday offers some pretty sweet energy between the moon and Mercury, which means mommies and children, which means reconciling your feelings to your thoughts. It also is, again, that good energy for women everywhere. Hang out with your girlfriends. Tell your besties how much you love them. Surprise them with something sweet. Recreate. Now, this time is a time, too, with Venus in retrograde, where we can go back to our old lovers. But before you do that, I highly encourage you, with Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, to remember why you left the bastard in the first place. We can be with Neptune where it is swept up in stupid nostalgia, or feel neglected and go, but I remember when he used to do this, or she used to do that, and when we did this. But don't be disillusioned, because there's a lot of that on the planet. Rather focus in reality on why you left the person. Because when you go back, guess what you get? You get what you got, what you had before, what you decided to leave. So there's that day. Now, Friday is very sexy. I also like this day, but there's a caution here. If you're in a coupled relationship where one of you is Pisces and one of you is Sagittarius, if you're in an intimate relationship with these each other is each other, Pisces, Sag, or close family members, this forecast is for everybody except you, because you guys have some major karma to work out in family, and this is very confining energy. And again, you can go see those New Moon and Pisces video. This is about honesty, so you got to get honest. The overnight, again, is difficult, like I told you, between Sunday, Monday, and Friday, Saturday. But for everybody else, this is a very sexy day. Lots of sexual healing can happen this day. This is a great day for making babies. And this all starts really profoundly after work, if you're working and at work. And so retirees, this energy comes in after work and dinner, and it goes on through Saturday for close couples. So if you are during the work, if you have been listening to my astrology, if you have exceeded the constraints of poor communication styles, if you have cured your Mercuries, if you fixed your Mercury retrogrades, and if you fixed your Venus retrogrades, this can be an excellent weekend to show each other how much you love them and care for them, and get physical. Because another way to make earth energy when there is none on the planet is to make love. We not only, when we're giving ourselves to each other, experience the heights and ecstasies of what is heaven indeed, but we also ground, and our hearts actually beat in the same rhythm when we make love. All of our bodily energies, the body electric, synchronize is because energy's contagious. That's why the reverse of that, rape, is so horrific. But this is about making love, and that can really ground you too. And there is healing in sexuality that's healthy and sacred and safe. So I really love this day. On this day, this is the day that the sun leaves Pisces. So happy birthday, late Pisces that are having your birthdays this week. I'm going to shout out to my favorite Aunt Karen. It's her birthday, and somebody that I admire more than most, Siobhan O'Connor, happy birthday. I will never forget the love and care that you gave to me and the Joan of Arc energy that you did for our Catholic Church in Buffalo, New York. I highly admire and respect you, and so do most of the priests and nuns in New York and Boston. You had a lot of help from there too. So Friday is sweet for healing. Friday is sweet for women in general. Going to your doctors and practitioners if you're suffering any kind of cancers. This can be breakthroughs for breast and gynecological health with cancer. For those of you that work in that profession, that's a really good day for that, to get breakthroughs and insights. Lots of that's going on with all the air energy, make no mistake, and with all the planets moving into Aries as they will through the next month. There can be a lot of innovation and new invention with where Taurus is holding Uranus of insight. And so there's a lot of goodness going on, make no mistake, but our focus is that we're living between the eclipses with retrograde planets and that Pluto is in Aquarius. So it's up to you, but I do want Libra, Aries. I would include in that, since Libra's been having a time for a couple of months now, a pretty hard time. And then I would caution Aries, the Pisces and Sag people to realize what your relationship is with each other, and that there's a lot of remedy that needs to happen between both of you. When I go on to Saturday, Saturday can be sulking, especially for Pisces and Sagittarius and Aquarius. And then the next two signs that are having difficulty with each other are Aries to Capricorn. The hard part too is that there can be strife for Gemini, and then the Aries Capricorn energy. And Libra, you're in this mix too, because most of the energy, like I said, you often surround yourself with people that take advantage of you, or fall in love with people that are self-centered and are with people that are one-sided or blind-sided and can't see anything beyond themselves. Hence the selfishness that is the infantile Aries energy. And that counterbalance, sadly, Libra, that you're often not willing to face is who you are. When you're mean, when you're hungry, when you're tired, you turn into your shadow. You're selfish, you're cold, you're self-involved, you're lone wolfish, you're one-sided, you're not cooperative, you can't see somebody else's point of view. And you really have to face your shadow, Libra, or you're not going to have nice relationships, especially because you've got Black Moon Lilith energy covering you and have for the past year. So Saturday can be a time of sulking for those that are in strife, because it's really a difficult day. We've got the Moon and Neptune in a square to each other, which means that you're not seeing clearly and your emotions are muddy and foggy and relationships are messy, or there's indeed actual physical flooding in your home. And like I said, we've got a whole bunch of people that are under major dangerous weather conditions. This could indeed be the day the house floats away, sadly, because Saturday's tough. The moon is going to enter Capricorn, but now we have our first square, sun and moon against each other, couples not relating or getting along, subordinates fighting with insubordinates, authority figures bashing over the general public. We've got the moon in a square to Venus, so women are not in good relationships to each other. They're not seeing eye to eye like they were for most of the week. And then we've got children being very reactive and rebellious because the moon is squaring Mercury. And I told you, Kids have cabin fever, especially those of us that live in snowy climates. We've had a lot of snow. There's been a lot of indoor confinement and a lot of respiratory illness. So your little ones need fresh air, and they really need to be grounded. They need those potatoes, that soup, celery. Give them celery and peanut butter. They serve that in schools for a reason, because it settles people down mentally. And we need a lot of that this week. Chicken soup once a week is ideal for growing children. Calms our nervous system. And there's a lot of heightened nervous energy right now and a lot of radioactive energy. The other thing that's happening on Saturday is the sun. Well, this is nice. This happens at dinner time. So if you had a sexy Friday, and if you're close with your partner, and if you're in sync with him or her, and if together you're working on your communication issues, and if you're going over what values you share, going over your portfolios and your wealth management and what you need to be healthy, because that's all Venus retrograde stuff. If you're together eating healthy, if you're holding each other's hands and listening to each other, you don't have to have a sulking Saturday. You can have a very sultry Saturday and continue that making love, walking in step, and being together, because we've got the moon and Venus in harmony to each other. And that's really relating to one another emotionally. I love that for you. Otherwise, it's a pretty tough day. On the other hand, I want to tell you, because I love Pisces, which means I love 12th house people, which means I really love Mercury retrograde people. And I married one. I have a little grandson that is one. I have a couple of students, my astrology students that are. They're attracted to me for some reason. And Mercury retrograde people often have difficulty communicating. They're, as I said, when we look at epimethium and promethium Mercury, depending on whether you're a thoughtful speaker or you just blurt things out. Retrograde Mercury kind of doesn't speak out. They can be diagnosed as introverted because it takes them a little longer to synthesize their thoughts. My grandson indeed didn't speak until he was almost 4 years old. I have a dear friend who's married to a brilliant lawyer now who actually was not verbal until he was 8 years old. And he's very thoughtful, as are Mercury retrograde people, the reason I love them much. So they don't blurt their words out. Sometimes it's because they've got learning disabilities and they process slower. Sometimes it'll prove in the chart speech impediments. And often with Mercury comes writing. So maybe they couldn't learn how to print to write, or they're often sadly misdiagnosed and put in special education classes, or they have to go to some kind of remedial reading class, or they've got to go visit the speech pathologist once a week in school. Somehow, some way their learning is not mainstream. They're not flowing. But you know what? That's why I love them, because I'm often blown away by the insight they have. Especially my sweet loves, all that I mentioned, have their Mercury retrograde in the 12th house or are Pisces. And they're thoughtful and they're compassionate and they're understanding. And that is my husband's description. And that is my grandson's description. You see, he didn't talk. He was synthesizing his environment, because Pisces are spiritual souls. They're more soul than they are body. And if you don't, that's another reason they're one of my favorite people. And I always have been attracted to them. And I've always felt my best around them, because they're the most soulful creatures on our planet. They are closer to God and what it's like to be in heaven when we don't need bodies. And that's often why they get themselves in trouble and misuse substances. Because when you're drunk, you're high and you don't feel your body. And you like that other world, that kind of messed up mind feeling, kind of drifting off and going. Ayahuasca, that's another spiritual drug that's very Piscean. All drugs and all alcohols are Piscean, because we're using a substance, a controlled substance that translates and transmutes and transforms our body. And we don't need a body when we are soulful. So this is the end of your forecast for the week. Keep in mind you're between eclipses, so it's a measurement of lightness and darkness. Keep in mind that the focus of the balance of the energy is one-sided. That can be in your relationships. That can be you having a pile of junk in your garage that's tipping off the energy of your home, having very heavy energy, garbage energy in one section of a house, maybe a room stuffed full of stuff that's putting off the clear, clean balance of light and life and love and energy and heaven in the home. But it can be in your own body. So if you're Pisces or if you're Aries, take a look at what you're putting in your stomach. If you're having stomach issues, it's pretty normal this week with a Virgo, Pisces, lunar eclipse. Is your body, where do you feel the heaviest? Is it in your belly? Maybe you're putting the wrong food in there. And during this Mercury, Venus retrograde in this eclipse season, you can choose to eat healthier, where what you're putting inside is light. And that's where fasting comes in during the spring. We do this on purpose to purge our bodies of the toxins and poisons that are stuck in our guts, which clog our minds and keep us separate from God. So you have a really nice week. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Remember those Black Moon Lilith readings. They're not fun. That's facing what's ugly in you and what needs remedied. But I love doing that kind of work. My shadow side is Scorpio. I'm a double Taurus. That's why my videos are about criminality. That's why I've wrestled with deception and people who deceive in life, and saw why I'm so fascinated by why I took the college classes of criminality and criminal analysis, even to the level of forensic chemistry, because I want to know why people do the things they do that cause so much harm to others. Back to the Venus side of my double sun and moon, Venus ruled. I want everyone to feel good, to feel healthy and wealthy and in good relationships. And how do we do that? But me and all Tauruses, our shadow side is Scorpio. So what do we do that we can't see? What do we project? Suspicion, obsession, possession. And that's the way we act when we're out of balance. And that's our devil. That's how we act, trying to be controlling, being suspicious of others. But if you live astrology and if you get help and if you correct your wrongs, you can rise above that and separate yourself and are able to distinguish the real from what you suspect, because there's all kinds of evidence that tells what's real and what's not. And that's one of the benefits that we can do during Lenten season, when we cleanse ourselves during this purging that's scorpionic of our bodies, our minds, and our souls, so that we can be realigned and reunited to the light and love that is our birthright, that is God-given, and living a soulful life. I hope you play on Wednesday. If it's been a really long time since you've drawn or painted or sang or created a piece of music, I really hope you play a little bit each and every day and remember what your soul purpose is. That's what this life is about. And astrology is a soul science. And I can help you see and know things about yourself and others and your family members that you would never know otherwise, because our science is 6,000 years old. So you guys have a really nice week and be safe above all else. Bye for now.